Well, you know, as luck would have it, Donald Trump was holding a rally of his own right here in my backyard, Madison Square Garden, world's most famous arena. Oh, they're not booing, they're saying, Bruce. I bet Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden is going to be incredibly entertaining and uplifting as the Trump campaign enters its optimistic Morning in America phase with its lineup of stars.
The illegals, they get whatever they want, don't they?
They're on the side of the terrorists. She is the devil, whoever screamed that out. Her and her pimp handlers will destroy our country. She is the Antichrist, the first Samoan Malaysian low IQ. I love you, Donald. I mean, what?
I will never not be charmed by his girlish laugh. Now, generally, that's a lineup that you see outside Madison Square Garden, yelling at strangers as they try to get inside Madison Square Garden. And let me just say, how dare they desecrate the stage that the Piano Man has consecrated? How dare you? How dare you? Listen to me. You know how many scenes from an Italian restaurant he's going to have to play to exorcise the demons that were on that stage? There is not enough Downeaster Alexas in the world to clear out that xenophobic stench, you pieces of... But of course, for the media, there was one moment in particular that raised the alarms.
The opening act, grabbing headlines for all the wrong reasons, a comedian who offered unfunny, racist, cringeworthy jokes.
Basically calling Puerto Ricans trash.
The most repulsive racial jokes about Latinos.
Disgusting and hateful.
So incredibly crude.
Frankly, just too X-rated to play here.
Extremely vile so-called jokes.
Extremely vile so-called jokes. She name-checked my comedy album from the 90s. Did I really? I don't know who's AI, me or that guy. Now, obviously, in retrospect, having a roast comedian come to a political rally a week before Election Day and roasting a key voting demographic, probably not the best decision by the campaign politically. But to be fair, the guy's really just doing what he does. I mean, here he is at the Tom Brady roast a few months ago.
The great Jeff Ross, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff is so Jewish, he only watches football for the coin toss. Gronk, you look like the Nazi that kept burning himself on the ovens. Kevin is so small that when his ancestors picked cotton, they called it deadlifting.
Yes, yes, of course. Terrible, boo, yes. There's something wrong with me. I find that guy very funny. So, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, bringing him to a rally and have him not do roast jokes, that'd be like bringing Beyonce to a rally and not have... Oh. But you know what? Those people, those are just the underlings. And they brought a real dark, apocalyptic version of America to the stage. I'm sure former President Trump will temper those passions.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history to get the criminals out.
Day one? Have a snack, meet the staff. Day one is typically we just read the syllabus. There's generally no homework. But okay, day one, mass deportation. How exactly is that going to happen?
I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798.
Who the told Donald Trump about the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Because I'm going to bet you something. He did not come to the meeting and go, hey, why don't we use the 1798 Alien Enemies Act? Would that apply? He's not a history buff, as we remember from his dissertation on Robert E. Lee's role in the critical Civil War battle of Gettysburg.
And the statement of Robert E. Lee, never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake.
He should have used the Alien Enemies Act, 1798, to clear his enemies. Wow. From the man himself. That is his priority. Day one, I'm going to round up all the so-called illegal immigrants. It's a tough policy, but I guess it's got to be done, and it's not like anyone else, i.e. legal immigrants or American citizens, are going to be caught up in that dragnet. I'm sure that Trump's got a very detailed and precise plan. How many people are we talking about?
Millions of illegals. They think it's 2 million. It's probably 5 times that amount. You hear 15, 16. Sometimes you hear 17.
We have 21 million, at least 21 million. I think it's much more than 21.
So we are going to be rounding up and deporting between 2 and 21 or more million people. But listen, they're all bad. And they've all committed terrible crimes. And we have cataloged, without due process, the terrible things they have done, yes?
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
So between 2 and 21 million people, and while they weren't actually doing that, still, chase them with guns. Because at the very least, they are here illegally. Yes, they are illegal.
Donald Trump threatening to deport thousands of migrants in the country legally.
So that one's tricky. But I'm confident that on day one, when Trump does his mass deportation of anywhere from 2 to 100 million people, it won't be you. It'll be them, because of how precise Trump is, especially when it comes to people of color.
I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him.
The African-American politician in question was not Willie Brown, but rather this man, Nate Holden.
Holden saying, quote, Willie is the short black guy living in San Francisco. I'm a tall black guy living in Los Angeles. I guess we all look alike.
I guess there's some confusion there. But he's not deporting California politicians day one. And, you know, that story made him look racist. It's not the point. He really can't tell white people apart either.
You say Marla's in this photo?
That's Marla, yeah. That's my wife.
Which woman are you pointing to? No.
Here.
Carol.
Oh, is that?
The person you just pointed to was E. Jean Carroll.
Who is that?
And the woman on the right is your then wife,
I don't
Ivana?
know. This was the picture.
Ivana.
You know what I just realized? Donald Trump doesn't have affairs. Just thinks everyone is his wife. So, clearly, an attempt to deport between 30 and 500 million people is going to be complicated. So it's going to be important to know how carefully the former president would execute this plan.
A lot of the millions of people have had children here who are American citizens. So yes to mass deportation, even of women and children.
So we're going to look at it very closely. The way you phrase it is exactly right. You put one wrong person onto a bus or onto an airplane, and your radical left lunatics will try and make it sound like the worst thing that's ever happened.
Because it's the worst thing that ever happened to them, the American citizens you mistakenly deport. Yet Trump is like, and that makes me the bad guy. And why is my wife interviewing me? You are my wife, right? Marla? Ivana? Ivanka? I don't know. This sounds awful, but as everyone knows, you can never listen to what Trump's saying and hear it.
I think you're taking everything a little bit too literally.
Look, Trump speaks in hyperbole. This is nothing new.
He's telling you what was in his heart. You always want to go by what's come out of his mouth rather than look at what's in his heart.
You're right. Why hold former presidents to what they say they're going to do from their mouth holes? Perhaps if we only look inside Trump's heart, then we could see what... Oh! That's not French fries, and that's a lot of... That's not good. Let's see if there's anything else behind that we could... Oh, God! And bear spray. Eee! I wonder which one of those is good cholesterol. Look! You know what? Sure, maybe Trump's just talk. But on day one, when the deportation of between 2 and 11 billion people begins, what will be the guiding principle? Perhaps we should ask the dead-eyed architect of these plans, Stephen Miller.
America is for Americans and Americans only.
Oh, that makes sense. We're only deporting people who've come here illegally. Or people who have come here illegally, but sneaky legally. Or people who have children who are actually citizens. Or some people who look like they may have come here illegally. Or people that have protested the war in Gaza. Or a special prosecutor Trump doesn't like Jack Smith. Which, by the way, name a more American name than Jack Smith. Where are you going to deport him to? Faneuil Hall in Boston? Or... maybe we're just going to be deporting the people that always bring wretchedness and want. Oh, I'm sorry. That's how we described the Irish in 1832. Or maybe we're just going to deport people whose race inherently has a certain kind of criminality. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the Italians in 1911. The point is, every one of these groups was at a place and time on the wrong side of not being American enough. And right now you think you're safe because the group Trump's talking about, it's not you. As if, are you sure this isn't my wife? Donald Trump can tell the fucking difference or even cares.
Over 50 million people have already voted early. These days, election day is like a white woman's birthday. You gotta celebrate it for a whole month. But there's still a ton of people who haven't voted yet. And for those people, one late-breaking controversy could actually end up making a difference.
Days of backlash after a comedian's racist joke about Puerto Rico at a Trump rally.
They are seeing this backlash break through in a way that they have not seen yet this cycle. Puerto Rico fallout spreading like wildfire in Pennsylvania.
Superstars like Bad Bunny, J-Lo, and Ricky Martin took to social media and their hundreds of millions of followers, blasting out support for Vice President Harris. Jean-Marie Lugo says the joke sealed her vote for Harris.
I finally said, no, I have to be in the right side of the history.
She has lived in Philadelphia for 20 years and was leaning towards Trump until the comments.
Wow, this woman was leaning towards Trump, and now she's voting Kamala because of that one joke. I mean, she was like, I don't mind racism, but I draw the line at racism. This one offensive joke about Puerto Rico being a garbage island seems to have really broken through in a way that almost nothing else has. I mean, after all the speeches and the interviews and the press and the energy spent and ads and billions of dollars being thrown around, people just ignored almost everything. But this joke somehow broke through the noise. And as a master political satirist myself, I'm extremely jealous because all we do here is jokes all the time, and it changes nothing. What was the difference maker here? What, the target? Okay, well, tell me which countries are shit on. I'll do it. All right, hey, Australia, you're the garbage island. Anything? Anyone? Hey, did that move the needle? How is our engagements? This joke looks like it could have a lasting effect on the race, and I get why. Puerto Ricans are upset, but it's still crazy to me that a joke from Trump's warm-up guy seems to be having more of an impact than Trump's actual terrible record on Puerto Rico. I mean, his administration blocked Puerto Rico from receiving hurricane relief. Then Trump went down there and tossed paper towels into the crowd, I guess to help them soak up the hurricane. And to top it all off, Trump tried to trade Puerto Rico for Greenland. I mean, he would rather... That's not a good thing. Don't applaud that. He would rather have a frozen wasteland than a tropical paradise full of brown people with good music. I mean, what a stupid idea. No one in Greenland can play shortstop, okay? So, will this affect the race? We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, the joke from that MSG rally that really got my attention was actually this one.
You know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president.
Big mistake, buddy, all right? I'm Malaysian and The Rock is Samoan. So now, that's right. Now you're insulting two of the biggest movie stars on the planet. Get ready for the backlash, baby. But the MSG rally came at a bad time for Trump because last week, his former chief of staff, John Kelly, said that Trump praised Hitler's generals. Yeah, cool. Thanks for finally going on the record 5 years later, General John Kelly. Anything else you want to warn us about? Like maybe a suspicious bag on the subway in 2004? But now people are comparing the rhetoric at the MSG rally to another MSG rally in 1939 that involved, you guessed it, Nazis, which is the worst thing to happen at the Garden other than 20 years of the Knicks. This all has placed Trump on the defensive.
The newest line from Kamala and her campaign is that everyone who isn't voting for her is a Nazi. We're Nazis. He's Hitler. And then they say, he's a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite of a Nazi. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, of course Trump is not a Nazi, okay? They all famously served in the military. But what exactly... What exactly is the opposite of a Nazi? I mean, is it the guy who started J-Date because you're trying to make more Jews? Or is it like a guy who has like the reverse mustache, like that, everything else but not that part? But still, I mean, the question remains, is Donald Trump a Nazi? Well, according to J.D. Vance, the only way to settle this debate is to talk to the people who actually fought the Nazis while they were in the middle of fighting the Nazis.
Now, when these guys were fighting the actual Nazis back in 1944, I wonder what they would think about the Kamala Harris campaign. I'd like Kamala Harris to go back in time and hop on that boat and say that she wants taxpayer-funded sex reassignment surgeries for illegal aliens. And I'd like to hear the response of those brave men.
Yeah, I feel like they might have other things they want to talk about first, like, I don't know, what, you're from the future? Hey, can you tell me the enemy's exact position and if any of these bullets are gonna hit me right now? Also, Bitcoin, is that a thing or not? And by the way, this is an interesting debate because Kamala has actually never called Trump Hitler. J.D. Vance did, though, and if these... And I mean, if J.D. Vance has got a time machine, maybe he should go back in time and tell himself to shut the f*** up. Oh, who knows? I mean, maybe he got it right the first time. But J.D. Vance wasn't the only one talking about time travel. RFK Jr., the legend, also chimed in with the weirdest reason for not comparing Trump to Hitler.
So many of us, when we were kids in this country, were asked to consider the moral quandary. would you, if you could go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler before he could do all the damage? And most of us answer, yeah, we would do that. So when you compare an American political figure to Hitler who was about to become president,
right.
The kind of people who are already a little unstable, you're really suggesting to them that this man should be killed before he gets into office.
Man, you thought my accent was bad. But wait. And what are you saying? What, you shouldn't call Trump Hitler because someone will go back in time and kill baby Trump? I mean, I don't know. Even by RFK Jr. standards, that makes no sense. It sounds like his brainworm got a brainworm. And most people would kill baby Hitler, but only RFK Jr. would then drop the baby Hitler in Central Park and make it look like a bike accident. So, Election day is less than a week away, so it's time for the candidates to offer their closing arguments. Donald Trump held a rally at Madison Square Garden that attacked Puerto Ricans, blacks, Jews, women, Asians, Samoans, immigrants. And last night, Kamala Harris went in a different direction.
With the White House illuminated behind her and in front of 75,000 supporters, Vice President Harris delivered her closing message.
America, for too long, we have been consumed with too much division, chaos, and mutual distrust. And it can be easy then to forget a simple truth. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. It is time to stop pointing fingers. We have to stop pointing fingers and start locking arms.
Yeah, f you fingers, it's arm time. That was Kamala's closing argument. Stop all the finger pointing, you babies, and heal the divisions like empathetic adults. Now, time for her to sit back and let the positive vibes emanate across the nation.
President Biden makes comments about Trump supporters, calling them, quote, garbage.
Joe Biden's garbage gaffe.
A political headache for Vice President Kamala Harris.
It has completely changed the narrative from where it was 24 hours ago.
He was clearly disparaging a whole group of people, more than half of this nation.
I do not even think during the American Civil War, Abraham Lincoln called the people of the Confederacy garbage.
Wait. Hang on. Joe Biden is still the president? Wait, and what, he's worse than the Civil War? What the hell is going on? I mean, calling Trump supporters garbage right before the election feels like a crazy thing to say, even if you believe that. I mean, just wait 6 more days, man. I want to know, what did he actually say?
Just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Okay, I guess it's unclear if he's calling Trump supporters garbage or just the guy who called Puerto Rico garbage. I don't know, maybe more context will give us some more clarity. What did he say just before this?
Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware.
I see. This guy is too old and his brain is a floating pile of garbage, of course. Now, the Dems don't want to admit that the President of the United States should not be using a computer unsupervised, so they went with this explanation.
The White House very quickly tried to argue that when he used the word supporters, he wasn't talking about Trump supporters writ large, but that there was an apostrophe in there. That is what is included in the official transcript. They tried to argue that he was specifically referencing the comments from that comedian at the Madison Square Garden rally on Sunday.
That's right. In the last week of the campaign, Republicans are calling for a roundup of immigrants, and Democrats are like, you have to put the apostrophe in the right place. This election is really coming down to Nazis versus grammar Nazis. And if Democrats are relying on Americans to understand how apostrophes work, then this election is because have you ever seen a sign outside a bar? I mean, they basically use an apostrophe to mean, here comes an S. And look, Republicans aren't accepting any of these excuses because they don't know what an apostrophe is. And They think it's intentional that Biden called them garbage. And they could not be more excited because Republicans have been under fire for their garbage thing. And now they're like, yes, Biden's garbage thing cancels out our garbage thing. So now we're back to neutral. I mean, just look how excited Marco Rubio was when he got to interrupt a Trump rally to tell Trump the news.
All right, well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I have breaking news for you, Mr. President. You may not have heard this. Just moments ago, Joe Biden stated that our supporters are garbage.
Look how excited Rubio is. Everybody, look, I have great news. We are garbage. Celebrate good times. Come on. I mean, Rubio delivered that news like he was announcing the war is over. And you can tell how excited Trump is because his face is at full orange alert. This put Trump in such a good mood that he briefly found religion.
That's what it says. That's what it says. But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
He not knoweth what he said. Someone's been reading an Instagram quote about the Bible. I mean, Trump should speak like this more. It makes him sound kind of wise. Like, thou art eating thy cats and thou art eating thy doggeths. Now, obviously, Republicans are happy to hit Democrats with this Biden gaffe, and obviously the media is excited to cover a garbage fight. And I guess that's what we're going to talk about for the last week of the election. And that's fine, because it's not like anyone said anything that might have a bigger impact on our lives.
The key that I think that President Trump has promised me is control of the public health agencies, which are HHS and its sub-agencies, CDC, FDA, NIH, and a few others, and then also the USDA, which is key to making America healthy.
Great. That sounds like the healthiest man in America, everybody. You too could sound like this when I'm in charge of everything. To be fair, RFK Jr. is actually pretty healthy. I mean, he's 70 years old, and that's like 850 in Kennedy years. But still, how is this guy gonna be in charge of food quality? I mean, they found a dead worm in his brain, so even his skull can't get a higher rating than a C. Of all the characters in this election, this guy is the scariest because he doesn't believe in vaccines or pasteurizing milk. He thinks antidepressants cause school shootings and that COVID was engineered to not affect Jews. And he thinks chemicals in the water make kids trans. And Trump is going to put him in charge of all the health and food and medicine. I mean, surely Trump will at least put some limits on what he can do, right? Like, Donald, you're not going to just let this guy go wild, are you?
I'm going to let him go wild on health. I'm going to let him go wild on the food. I'm going to let him go wild on medicines.
Wait, how are you going to let him go wild on medicine? Like, what, you going to let him dip his balls in the cough syrup? Now, I'm not a professional expert pundit, but I think it's very unlikely that this race will be decided by the war over garbage because there's a much more important battle here. Boobs versus balls.
This presidential race could be a battle of the sexes.
This election cycle, the 30-point gender gap between men and women is stark, with NBC News polling showing women supporting Vice President Harris by a 14-point margin.
If Harris wins, it'd be because women crawled over broken glass to break the glass ceiling.
Okay, so there was a glass on the floor before they broke the glass ceiling. So then, where did the broken glass come from if the ceiling is... Why is everyone in America so bad at metaphors? Look, I don't know why Trump does badly with women, okay? I mean, yeah, sure, he shredded their reproductive rights or whatever, but he's only been accused of groping 26 of them. Oh, what? Sorry. What's that? There was a new one last week. Oh, okay. 27. Oh, sorry. What was that? There was a new one yesterday. Okay. Well, look, I can understand why no one heard about it. Okay, the media had a big garbage truck story to cover, but Trump isn't giving up. He made another pitch to women last night in a way that wasn't creepy at all.
My people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say, so why? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
You know, there's a name for when you take care of a woman who doesn't want you to take care of her. It's called kidnapping. And there is no situation where whether you like it or not is a good sales pitch. Unlimited shrimp, whether you like it or not, would be a pass from me. So Trump's reaching out to women as successfully as he reached out to that garbage truck door. Meanwhile, Kamala supporters are trying to win even more female voters with a stealth campaign to sway hesitant women in conservative areas.
Sticky notes reminding women that their vote is secret have been popping up in women's bathrooms all over the country, thanks to a viral grassroots campaign by Kamala Harris supporters.
This is a campaign to put these Post-it notes in the bathrooms, giving women the permission to vote for who they want to. So it says nobody knows who you vote for, so vote for who you want, or vote Harris for women's rights.
How many of these have you made?
We've made thousands and thousands. I saw it online, and all the women in my area, they're all doing it. They're literally driving up to Wisconsin to the truck stops just to do this.
Dan, that is the most wholesome reason to visit a truck stop bathroom. I mean, just imagine how disappointed you'd be seeing one of these coming out of a glory hole. But that's right. Kamala supporters think there are a lot of women who would vote for her if they knew their husbands or neighbors wouldn't find out. So they're going all the way into women's bathrooms to let them know. And you may laugh at that, but polls consistently show that the most important voting bloc in Michigan is women on the road trips who have diarrhea. And I guess this is an interesting idea, but is there any place left that we can't be safe from political ads? I mean, a public bathroom is a sacred place where we're not Democrats or Republicans. We're just Americans who are hoping a handicapped person doesn't need the handicapped stall while I'm in there. I just don't know if this is gonna work. I've never seen anything in a bathroom that's changed my opinion. For a good time, call Megan. Please wash your hands. I'm not doing any of that. But if you're a woman who doesn't go to the bathroom, and I know some women don't because I've never seen my wife take a shit, ever. Harris supporters have put out TV ads reminding women with conservative husbands that their votes are a secret too.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey. Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth.
Did that stay in the booth? I mean, I don't know if it could be more obvious that something was going on with those women. I mean, if I was their husband, I'd be like, wait, okay, you guys are either voting for Kamala or you're having an affair, okay? Because there's a lot of electricity here, and I'm scared, but I'm also turned on. If all that extra long staring wasn't suspicious enough, there's another ad where the women are even more obvious.
Still voting for him?
Hell yeah.
What about your wife?
She doesn't like him, but she's voting for him.
Same with mine.
Guys, you gotta stop mouthing Kamala. It's supposed to be a secret conspiracy. It's like, we're voting for Kamala, right? I said, are we voting for Kamala? Yes, but we have to keep it a secret or our sinister husbands will murder us. Hey, is it weird that they're like 50 years older than us? seriously, look at those husbands. Like, you don't have to mouth it. I'm pretty sure they won't listen to you even if you talk at full volume, okay? And maybe I'm just being a heroic feminist here, as usual, but isn't it a little sexist for these ads to suggest that women are morons who don't know how to vote? But, you know, I guess it's okay, because they're also saying that men are morons who don't know how to vote.
Come on, boys. Let's make America great again. It's your turn, buddy.
Before you cast your vote in this election, think about how it'll impact the people you care about the most.
Daddy!
Remember, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Do your patriotic duty? You bet I did, brother.
What happens in the booth stays in the booth.
Okay, so the women are secretly voting for Kamala, but the men who are threatening them are also voting for Kamala? It's going to be so romantic when they all find out. It's going to be like that stupid Pina Colada song. And by the way, why is everybody in these ads voting in groups? I've never seen a group of bros just vote together like they're heading to a tailgate. And also, this guy walked into the voting room with his bros, but then walked out with his family? I mean, what the f is happening?